wanted to, and we have a community of people across Canada that are using our product, and we wanted to expand that, and we wanted to find a way to do that using social media. And we looked at all of these SEO companies, these search engine optimization companies, and various social media companies, and they all seem to do the same thing, which was we tell them what we wanted to say, they'd write it down and put it up on the Facebook page or on the website, and charge me a whole lot of money for it. And it wasn't really producing what we wanted. And so we went out to find some people that could help us do that job and reduce our costs, but get across what we wanted to do. And so we came across this company called Basic Bananas. And they're out of Australia, and their whole reason for being is to help small and medium enterprises like all of us compete in this world of mass media and mass social media. And so we've been working with Erik since January, and we're about 2/3 of the way through their program, which is a year-long program. And they have been giving us and delivering us good information that is very useful and is helping us expand our message across our group that we want to talk to. And in conversation with the management at Anapet, I was telling them about that, and I found a sympathetic ear to what I was saying. And between the two of us, we discussed bringing Erik in, and that's why we're here today. So I'll stop talking now, and I'll give it over to the guy that knows what he's talking about. This is Erik Hatterscheidt. He's from Basic Bananas.
Hi guys. How are you guys doing today?
Good.
Good? Who's excited to learn a little bit more about marketing today? Awesome. I see some smiles in the room. You guys are ready for it. Great. Have you guys, I'm not super familiar with this event. Have you guys already been going around to like different events and stuff today, or is this your first thing? This is your intro. Oh, so it better be good. All right, well hopefully none of you guys walk out of the room. As Dean said, I'm Erik, and I run Basic Bananas. I started it in Australia. I've got a couple partners over there. And now we've expanded. We're still running in Australia, pretty heavily invested over there, but we've expanded into international waters, and that is why I'm standing in front of you guys here today. Today I'm going to try and give you guys as much content as I can in an hour and a half. So there's not going to be a lot of stories about me or Basic Bananas or any of that stuff. If you guys are curious about that, you can always ask me questions after. But for today, I'm just here to try and give you guys as much as I can in the time that we have. So, I know that one of the first questions that you guys have as small business is, actually here's a question for you guys. Is everybody in the room, are you mainly pet store owners? Raise your hand if you're a pet store owner. All right, raise your hand if you're something else. Oh, there's a few of you here. What do you guys do?
I manage.
Oh, you manage, okay. But you're in the pet store industry.
Yeah.
All right. So, I don't have to tell you guys that it's been getting tougher over the last few years. I don't have to tell you guys that there's been a lot of competition from the online brands, them conglomerating, getting bigger, people like PetSmart going out there and they're making it tougher for you. Not only those stores, but the bigger box stores, some of the things that they're doing make it tougher for you. That means there's definitely the big competition, as well as competition down the road. Who here has competition down the road? Everybody should have your hand up for that. Everybody's got competition down the road somewhere. So there's a number of things that you guys are fighting here. Hopefully what I'm going to do with you guys over the next hour and a half is show you what are ways that we can market ourselves, what are ways that we can put ourselves out there, and more importantly, attract more customers in the door without blowing tons of money on our marketing budgets. Now, we can have another talk later if you want on how to blow a lot of money on your marketing budget, but that's not today. Today I'm going to try and give you as much as I can where you can be effective without really spending any money on your marketing. Does that sound good? Yeah? See some head nods? Yeah, we're down with that? Okay, cool. So, first thing here, it's tough for us to stand out in our marketing because the average Canadian that's out there, well, the average person, the average global person in the world sees over 2,000 pieces of marketing a day. The average Canadian actually sees over 3,000 pieces of marketing a day. So this is one of the challenges for us as pet store owners is like, okay, we want to get new people in, but how is it that we actually make sure we're standing out for the customers that come into the door? What is it, even if we put an ad out there, if we've got one ad among 3,000 that our customers seen that day, what is it that actually compels them to come in the door? A lot of times, it doesn't. Because there's so many different choices out there for the customer, a lot of times you spend your hard-earned money and time and effort into putting an ad together and it doesn't get traction. So, what do you need to do to become irresistible? Irresistible like chocolate, that's why I got chocolate on the board. I have a massive chocolate theme. Don't put chocolate in front of me because it will disappear in less time than it takes to set it down. The way that we become irresistible to our target market is by equating our marketing to their thoughts. That's what we're looking at when we're trying to become irresistible. We want to equate our marketing to their thoughts. The other thing that we want to do, and this is a trend that's going to be talked about tonight, is we want to make sure that what we offer our customer, they cannot get anywhere else. You guys have something to write that down on? I would recommend writing that down. Make sure that you're offering a service to your customer that they cannot get anywhere else. We're going to talk a lot about different ideas and what that looks like. But if your customer is getting the same experience from you that they're getting from the store down the road, or they're getting the same product and basically the same experience from you as they would if they were ordering something online, then you are going to be in a little bit of trouble. So we need to make sure that we're offering something that they can't get anywhere else. I believe that there's 3 ways here to actually help you stand out in your marketing without spending any money. So these are our 3 ways. First, looking at finding your zig. So when everybody else is zagging, where are you zigging? We're going to take a look at that. Look at what is everybody else doing and what's a way that we can actually go the opposite direction, but in a smart way. Next, we want to look at your imaginary friends. Now I've got a number of imaginary friends, and you guys will too by the time we're done here today. As long as you don't have any imaginary sales, because that hasn't helped out any businesses I've worked with. And then lastly, get weird and love hard. So what is it that you're doing that's actually making you unique? What is it that's making you stand out a little bit? What's making you a little bit weird? Basic Bananas, us at Basic Bananas, we tend to get a lot of traction. We tend to get a lot of marketing. We have publications writing about us. And you know, the reason for that isn't just because we're marketers. There's other marketers out there. But the reason for that is because we look at what is it that we can be doing a little bit differently? What's the perception of what we're doing out there? And also importantly, what is it that we're doing that makes us talk aboutable? Now, talk aboutable is a word I just made up, but it's important for you guys to understand that if you want people to talk about you in various capacities, you got to be talk aboutable. You got to do things that are talk aboutable. So that might be in the media if you want to get featured in the media, which can be very effective for a business. That pertains to your customers as well. So you need to understand that you guys are in charge of architecting the way that your customers talk about you. Because everyone's going to form a perception about you. No matter what. Everyone's going to form a perception about you, about your company, about your brand, no matter what. So you might as well be in charge of that perception and how it gets architected out there. Because let's say that I come and I buy from you guys. I'm huge fans of you. I love you guys. And I love your store and I love everything about you. Now, if I want to tell my friend about you, I might not spend 20 minutes talking about you. I might only say 1 or 2 words. So we need to look at what those 1 or 2 words are going to be. All right. Now, let's jump into the first bit here. Finding your zig. Finding your zig. What does that even mean? We need to look at what is it that we're doing that sets ourselves apart from our competitors. Because usually there's trends in the market. There's reasons for trends. There's opportunities. So that means there's a massive market shift one way or another. As an example of this, as Dean was talking about, you know, there's this whole shift in marketing going from everything the way that we used to market to bringing it all online. I'm sure you guys are all familiar with that. You're looking at, listen, there was a way that we used to market 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. That's not the way the companies are marketing anymore. Most companies, now we need to look at what are we doing online to be effective. Now, us being a marketing company, marketing education company, we've actually found that with all these marketers that are out there, we've kind of ruined it for everybody. If I know one thing, it's that marketers ruin it for everybody. And the reason I say that is because marketers, we go out there and we'll take a look at what's working, and then every other marketer out there will reverse engineer it and try and copy it. And so we all run over here to try and do what everybody else is doing. What we've noticed though is that while all these people are zagging over here and trying to get really good at the online marketing thing, I'm not saying don't use online marketing, but you know how to use online marketing effectively, but don't forget about the spaces over here. So now we look at our marketing and we say, you know what, all these people are so concentrated on digital marketing over here, they forgot about how to be clever with their offline marketing over here. And so some of the tactics that we employ with the businesses we work with are totally offline, and often they're more effective than our online tactics just because no one's operating in that space. So just because something's popular, don't necessarily think that that's the thing that needs to be done. Sometimes we need to look at what are ways that we can zig a little bit from the zaggers. Here's a bit of an example for this. What do these guys sell? Motorcycles? Motorcycles, right? Now, back in the 70s, Harley-Davidson, they were selling motorcycles, and they were actually on the verge of bankruptcy. They were about to go broke. And so they called in a marketing firm, and they asked this marketing firm, they said, you know, guys, we're at our wit's end. We've only got a couple months left until we tank. Is there anything that we can do? And the marketing company, they came to them and they said, well, what is it that you guys sell? And Harley said, what? You guys are you don't know what we sell? I think we hired the wrong marketing company. And the marketing company's like, no, bear with us. What is it that you guys sell? And so the execs at Harley-Davidson said, well, we sell motorcycles. You guys not know that. And the marketing company said, yeah, you know what? That's your problem. The problem is that you guys at the top think that you guys still sell motorcycles. And that's why you're going broke. If you guys continue to sell motorcycles, you're competing against the brands that are coming in from Asia. And the brands that are coming in from Asia, they're producing a motorcycle that's in styling very similar to your motorcycle. Often, it's easier to maintain than your motorcycle. And lastly, it's a lot cheaper than your motorcycle. If you're selling motorcycles and you're competing just on motorcycles, you're going to be finished, you're going to be done. So then Harley said, well, what do we do about that? How do we combat that? And this company said, you know, all these other companies, they're selling motorcycles. What you need to do is you need to go and sell something else. You need to understand what it is that you're really selling and sell that to the customer. And that's when they collaborated a bit and they came up with this. We fulfill dreams of personal freedom. Because Harley started to realize that while everybody else over here was selling motorcycles, they needed to focus on what the customer really wanted. In this case, what the customer really wanted was freedom. Because do you think when a guy walks into a Harley-Davidson dealership, he comes in and he sees that motorcycle in front of him and he sits there and he thinks to himself, man, you know what? I would love to know what the miles per gallon are on this thing. Or I wonder how long the rubber's going to last on these tires. That's not what the guy's interested in. What that guy wants to know is, I wonder how loud this thing's going to roar. I wonder how badass this thing's going to make me feel like when I'm ripping through the neighborhood at 100 miles an hour up to get to my wife's signal. I want to know how this thing's going to make me feel. Am I going to feel like a rebel, like a badass if I'm rolling down the highway with throttle full open? That's what's running through that guy's head. So one thing I want you guys to take out of this is I want you to think about what is it that your customer's really buying from you? Because what I would argue with you is that the thing that the customer buys from you is a means to an end. The products that they buy from you are a means to an end. How are you talking to the customer about the products that they're buying? Are you just naming off the features of the product, or are you really digging deep into why do they want that product and what's it for? Understand your customer's needs on a deeper level and selling them that, selling them the emotion, selling them what's the end result that they're actually looking for. And sometimes if you do this really well, people will go out and they'll do things like this. Now that's not a motorcycle, that's someone's arm. And what I can tell you is that Harley's done such a good job at identifying what it is that they're really selling, that people, they buy into it. They buy into the fact that Harley's about more than just the motorcycle. It's about a lifestyle. Because there's not a ton of guys I know out there that have Kawasaki tattooed across their arm. That's how you know you're doing a good job with your brand, when people buy into what it is that you're doing. The other thing, when we're talking about your brand, and we're talking about the way that people perceive you, don't try and get overly complicated. When it comes to perception, try and pick one thing. What's the one thing that you're known for? What's the one thing that you want to be known for? Because often in our businesses, we're trying to pick so many different things, and we say, well, we want to be known for all these things. We want to be known for service and integrity and healthy food, and we start picking all these different things. Where to the customer's got a whole bunch of other brands that they're trying to remember as well. So in their minds, you need to understand that chances are you're going to be lucky if they can equate you with just that one thing, that one word, so that you actually stand out for something. The other interesting thing around perception is the way we got the party coming in. Hi guys.
Things just delayed.
You may join us. I'm gonna have to tone it down a little bit though. All right. The other thing when it comes to perception is the way that people view your physical space is really important. The way that people view your physical space is really important. It forms a ton of perception in their minds around your product, around how much they're willing to pay for your product, about how much they want your product. It's extremely important when you're architecting your physical space what that space looks like. I'm going to play an example for you guys around this. Now, this example comes from Australia. In Australia, the store that they're featuring is a store called Best & Less. And I would assume most of you guys are not familiar with Best & Less, but Best & Less is a store where it's kind of the Walmart brand of clothing stores. So they sell clothes that are good, sometimes fashionable, but they're definitely on the economy side of the scale. Best & Less wanted to go to their market and prove to them that it was all about the perception, the way that their clothes were perceived, and that they actually sold a clothing line that was and could compete with the higher end brands.
This one is only actually $40, not $140. Yeah.
Why is that? That's $40, thanks.
40. You're kidding. This one's actually not $140, it's only $40. Wow. Because this is actually a Best & Less store.
Are you serious?
Yeah. This is Best & Less.
That's strange.
We believe that you don't have to pay these crazy prices to get fashionable items to look good. I would never have guessed that that was by Best & Less.
I was so surprised and shocked at the quality of the cup.
You don't have to spend $140 on something to look great.
Wow.
This is what I was saying. I'm impressed.
When she told me that it was only $40, I was so happy. I actually thought she got it wrong, and I tried to correct her.
I don't mean to be smart, but I wouldn't go to Best & Less. That's the point, isn't it?
Okay, I'm shocked. Oh my god. That's how you have perception.
If you can find something that looks more expensive but is cheaper, I think that's just smart shopping.
I hope you have a good day. See you later.
So it's interesting that the way that we build our physical space can have that much of an impact on the product. The product hasn't changed, but the way that the customer perceives it has changed. So one thing I want you guys to look at, and we're going to continue to talk about this a little bit throughout this session, is what does your physical space look like? What does your physical space look like? And is your physical space, is that conducive to the type of customer that you want to bring in the door? If it's not, what are some ways that you can look at architecting that space so that you're forming a relationship with your customer that's in sync with who they are and what they're looking for? Now, when we talk about architecting space, we can talk about physical space, but we can also talk about the mental space, as I said. So if we're looking at maybe one word that a customer is thinking of, we need to go outside of ourselves and go and make sure that we're architecting what that word is. And as a way of explaining to you guys what this looks like in the more corporate space, I'm going to put a few words up on the screen. And I want you to just shout out whatever comes to mind in terms of what you feel this word, like the brand. I'm going to put a brand up there. What this brand equates to as a word in your head. Does that make sense? So for the first one, I'll give you guys an example. So for Apple, Apple might be innovation, it might be sleek, it might be modern, it might be young, things like that. So now we'll give you guys a go. Are you ready for this? There's no wrong answers on this. There's absolutely no wrong answers. WestJet. Service? What is it?
Holiday.
Fun?
Holiday.
Holiday?
Friendly.
Inferior? Maybe? Depends on who we're talking about. What about Air Canada? Expensive? Rude, your dad. What about Tim Hortons?
Coffee.
Cheap
Delicious.
coffee. Donuts. Delicious. Canadian. What about Harley Davidson? Freedom. I gave you guys that one a little bit earlier.
Loud.
What's that? Loud.
Expensive dog collars.
Expensive. Expensive dog collars. Well, that's the other thing about Harley Davidson, and we didn't talk about that much, but Harley Davidson, you know, when they switched their branding to talk about freedom, the amount that people are willing to pay for that versus what they're willing to pay for a motorcycle is pretty drastically different. It means that Harley Davidson, they're able to sell their motorcycles typically for double what a similar motorcycle would cost from any one of the other brands. Why? Because in their minds, they're paying for something different. Volvo. Safe. They've put a lot of effort over the years into you guys knowing that Volvo equates to safe. Switzerland. Chocolate, skiing, neutral, Swiss Army knives, Swiss watches, I can't talk. Swatch. Denmark. Oh man, we drew a lot of blanks on Denmark.
Jeez.
Okay, so I want to illustrate a point with you guys. I want to illustrate a point. Switzerland, they actually put a lot of thought into how they're being perceived around the world. Switzerland's tourism board, they put a lot of thought into the way that people are talking about them, and they put a budget into that. We have a perceived notion around what Switzerland is. When I put Denmark on the screen, we all draw blanks, right? Unless you're from Denmark or you've been there. Denmark, we draw blanks. I want to illustrate a point here. I don't want you guys and your businesses to be Denmark. All right? So when people think of your store, I don't want them to draw blanks. I want you to go out there and I want you to actively think about what are the words that I want people to associate with our store. I'm going to help you guys out with this. There's a few words here on the screen. I'm asking you, how would you like to be perceived? Now, you're not limited to these words, but I'd like you to take a minute and think about what are the ways that I want customers to talk about me? What are the ways that I want customers to talk about me? Did anybody come here with a partner? Like a business partner or a business partner, spouse, either or? Your dog? For those of you guys that came here with a business partner or something like that, you guys can discuss this among yourselves. Otherwise, I'm going to give you guys literally a minute right now to think about what's the word that we want to be known for. I'm giving you a minute. I'm giving you guys a minute here to focus on what's the word that we want to be known for.
One word?
Just one word. You have one word. That's a bit difficult, isn't it? It is a bit difficult. I'm going to give you a minute to think about it, though. You guys ready for that? Okay, I will. Your minute starts now. Your minute starts now.
For sure. Who told you this?
Okay, I'm cutting you off. Now that was definitely more than enough time, right? I'm joking. It's probably not enough time, but I'm a little bit curious now with you guys. Who here picked a word? Raise your hand if you picked a word. What was your word?
Knowledgeable.
Knowledgeable?
Yeah.
Did anybody else in the room have the word knowledgeable? A few of you guys over here? It's a good word. Who else had a word? Raise your hand. What was your word?
Approachable.
Approachable. Did anybody else have that word? Approachable. Nobody else. Okay, good word. What I want you guys to think about here, picking a word is one thing. It's good to pick a word because then you're known for that thing. What's more effective, in my opinion, is you go out and you pick a word, or pick a few words. Think about this. This could be a homework assignment for you. Go out and pick a few words. What are the words that you'd like to be known for? But then I want you to look at, whatever the word is, I want you to look at, is that word already something that's common among the people around me? Is everybody saying that same thing? Because if everybody's saying that same thing, then it starts to lose a little bit of the credibility in the word. So if we put the word, let's say we pick the word honest, or what was the first word?
Knowledgeable.
Knowledgeable. Let's say we pick the word knowledgeable. Now it's a fantastic word. It's a great word. But if a lot of other people are using that word, then we might have to cross that out and say, is there another word that nobody's using? This is the zig versus the zag. Is there another word out there that nobody's using so that we get known for something in our space? And sometimes we can get creative with it. We can go to the thesaurus and say, is there another word for knowledgeable that we can use that nobody else is using? Maybe you could say something like, we are researchers. We actually go out and we actively research this stuff for you. That could be it, but it's kind of the same thing, but it's another way of saying it. It's a different way of people perceiving you in their minds. So take a look at the word that you picked, if you picked the word. But then look at, is everybody else using that word? And is there some other way that we can say it so that we're standing apart in the industry and saying, this is something we're actually doing differently? And getting known for that thing. Get known for that thing. The next thing that we want to do is when we pick a word, so let's say that let's use that as an example. So here we had knowledgeable. I don't even know if I spelled that right, probably not. Knowledgeable. And then let's say that in this example, let's say that we decide that we're going to use the word we're researchers. Now what we want to make sure that we're doing is we want to make sure that when people come to our store or they come to our website, that whatever word it is that we picked, that becomes clear in the visual appearance of what it is that we do. So maybe there's tags on the food and it tells you where that thing came from. How long has it been there? When was that company started? Who was it started by? Maybe there's specific labels around the shop that tell you what countries things came from, or